This is the Real Footy podcast. Coming up, Geelong and Brisbane booked themselves into the grand final, both with 5-goal wins in their preliminary finals at the packed-out MCG. What next for the Hawks and the Magpies? And who will win tonight's Brownlow Medal?
Flicked the handball forward, Stewart came through, he got absolutely obliterated in the toe tackle.
Oh, he's absolutely drilled here by Marby or Charles.
They cannot afford Tommy Stewart to come out of this game. There goes Dangerfield again. Manor. Beautiful handball for Danger. This is one for the ages. Unbelievable.
McInerney got it down to ground. Off the deck. That would be crazy. Well dropped. Free will. No one was on him.
Hello and welcome. My name is Sam McClure, and joining me today, Jake, Niall and Caroline Wilson. Happy grand final week to you both.
Best two teams in it, Jake?
Absolutely. Clearly. As it has transpired.
Yeah. I mean, Geelong probably, when you look at their fixture, they did have a very soft last 5 or 6 weeks, but they probably were the best home and away team if you take into account degree of difficulty with Adelaide.
Actually, I think Brisbane was the best home and away team.
Yeah.
Factoring in degree of difficulty, which is much greater than Geelong's, and they're half a game behind them. But Geelong have ended up being in much better shape coming into the finals.
So is that why Geelong are favourites? Because I feel like they're really strong favourites. I'll call it now. I'm tipping Brisbane.
Ooh.
I still think Brisbane are the best team, even with their injuries and the personnel that they've lost. But why do you think Geelong are such hot favourites?
I think their form is just so strong, and they lost, obviously they've lost one of their best players in Stewart, but they don't have compromised players through their team. I think they seem to be peaking almost now.
Yep.
It's like the premierships are not won anymore by the best team, in July. They're won right at the end. And that the final system, we can talk about that later, but Geelong looked to me to be, I mean, look at Patrick Dangerfield. We'll get to him in a sec, but Patrick Dangerfield, because of the way that they've been able to win the games during the season and they had these softer games, they could hold him back. I said he was like a weapon kept in the silo, and then they've unleashed him in the finals. I haven't got the stat, but the number of centre bounces he's been in this final series is like astronomical.
Can he do it 2 weeks in a row with a 35-year-old body? Probably
better if it's 2 weeks, but God, he's a hell of a player.
They make it sound and look so easy though, Caro. Like Jake just talked about, they make sure they peak at the right time. Like how many teams have tried to do that and failed? It's not an easy thing to sort of cruise in third and fourth gear throughout the winter months, but still finish top four. I mean, Richmond used to do this under Damien Hardwick.
Richmond did it with all their premierships.
Yeah,
the team they didn't was the one they got when they were the best team all year. They got beaten in the prelim. Yeah. Brisbane did it last year.
Yep. Hardwick used to talk about that premierships aren't won in April. Like we just got to find a way to get to top four and then sort it out at the right time. But I was watching, the thing that struck me at the game, Caro and Jake, was Geelong's...
The Geelong game.
The Geelong game. Mm. Geelong's ability to take guys who have started their careers somewhere else, bring them in, make them part of the culture, and then turn them into even bigger superstars. Dangerfield, Jeremy Cameron. Look at what they've done with Bailey Smith. They're now almost anointing Charlie Curnow to be the next one before they win the flag. They are deliberate and targeted with the way that they get players from other clubs to keep them going. They don't rely on these high draft picks that so many other clubs do. They are a machine.
But they seem to nail their draft picks as well.
Well, true. But they are just...
They've had busts, but they've had busts with draft picks. All the clubs do, but they seem to get more players later in the draft. And from the Geelong League, I mean, Brian Myers and Stewart and Jack Henry, they're all locals who were picked as rookies. Look at that.
Mark Blixarves is an extraordinary
from athletics.
Yeah, he's a... I mean, I think Chris...
could have been running at Tokyo the other night.
He could have. Chris Scott once called them his group of misfits, and in a very proud way.
Will they throw him back, do you think, in the grand final and bring Stanley and Caro?
We spoke to him on 3AW on Saturday, and that was the view of Lee Matthews, and I must say it makes sense, doesn't it, if Stanley does come in, because Stewart is a big out, and he's such a proven, obviously brilliant defender.
He's arguably their best player. I mean,
And,
I know
yeah.
that Dangerfield and Cameron, but he's so hard to replace.
Oh, there's a young midfielder by the name of Max Holmes who will probably win their best and
Or
fairest.
Bailey Smith.
But he's such a proven finals performer. It will hurt them, but Blixarves has proved he can play anywhere, and I reckon he's had a very good finals series. So I think they'll cover him. I mean, I just feel that Brisbane have got the best defender going around. Their midfield is absolutely on a par with Geelong's, don't
It's
you think,
so
Jake?
even, their midfield.
Oh no, I think they've got more talent in the midfield. I think where Geelong,
Geelong or Brisbane?
No, Brisbane.
Okay.
The difference is that they would be behind, including Collingwood. They would have been behind. You see, but you take one great player of any team out or in, and it just swings it. So, for example, Pendlebury goes out.
Yep.
Suddenly, I'm looking at that at the start of the game. I'm like, I think Collingwood are in trouble straight away. Now, it ended up that way. They got a surge, but over the whole game, that was a problem. Dangerfield being added at the level he played at, which is not the Dangerfield level through the home and away season of the last 2 years, but it is extraordinary level. That just puts them on a par with Brisbane probably. And their forwards are much better because they're kicking to a champion. I mean, Jeremy Cameron is the best forward in the game. Let's be clear on that. He's a better player than Charlie Curnow now.
Yes.
Right? He is a unbelievable footballer. And it's only since he's gone to Geelong. He was always that at the Giants, but he was playing for the Giants. So he's a top 5 AFL player. So they've got a guy who at his best plays at that level, can't do it every week, can't even do it every 2 weeks out of 3 in Dangerfield. But that's his position in the game. He's one of the game's greatest modern players. And you've got Jeremy Cameron, who's the best forward in the game. And they've got other forwards. Stengel is very good. Both teams have got good small forwards. Logan Morris is a good young player, but he's not Jeremy Cameron. And you've got a kid in Ty Gallup who's showing promise. I just think the 8 players under 22 versus the 4 players 22 and under is a huge advantage for Geelong.
Yeah, so Brisbane have got 3 teenagers in Gallup,
Marshall,
Ashcroft, the younger Ashcroft.
Yeah, Gallup, Marshall and Ashcroft. They've got
That's
3 19-year-olds.
That's extraordinary.
It is for a grand final team.
And they've all been pretty good
Well,
too.
I'll tell you one thing is, I don't know whether this will be the last dance for Geelong. We always think it will be, and it never is. But it won't be the last dance for the Brisbane Lions.
No, their list is...
And this will be a topic.
Harris Andrews is a relative baby, isn't he? I mean,
Well, he's 27 or 8.
Yeah,
I think he was drafted in 2015, and
yeah.
he's the best, with apologies to Taylor at the Giants. He's the best defender. So you've got the best forward in the comp, one end.
One end.
And I think Harris Andrews. Do you think he's the best defender, Sam? Or
I think on balance, I think you'd pick him first. Yeah. But to your point, their list is quite scary looking towards the next 10 years. It doesn't look
3
like...
or 4 years anyway.
It doesn't look like they're going to slow down anytime soon.
So just on, can we quickly touch on Tom Stewart? So Mabio Chol suspended for 3 weeks, which I think is a correct decision.
It's how they've rewritten the rule. It is absolutely the correct decision.
Do we have a view on whether they change the structure of the finals because of concussion, as has been the big call in the last few days?
They were looking to do that anyway, Jake. This potentially...
It's been flagged by...
accelerates that proposition. I'd be surprised if we go into next year with the same setup that we have.
Yeah, I think I heard Andrew Demetrio on your program on Radio Caro talking about it, and I think...
Did you hear his exchange with Lee Matthews over?
No, I didn't hear that.
2004?
No, I didn't hear that.
It was interesting.
But I was talking about it on radio yesterday with the callers were just huge on this on ABC, and it seemed to me that the bigger objection is actually the fairness for the qualifying final winners rather than the concussion. I think that's actually
I have an issue with doing it. I mean, and Greg Swan and Tom Harley, when they signed that submission, Greg Swan's big thing, or he certainly raised concussion as a prime reason. But, concussion, I know it's mandated 12 days, but as Andrew Dillon said, it's often 19.
It could be 20. It could be 21.
Yeah, I don't know about
it could change. It could actually change.
I don't know about having 2 weeks up between the prelim and the grand final. I just reckon play them all. Play them all.
Well, that's what I think, Caro, and you've been quite strong on this consistently. But The problem is the deal that they've done with the PA to make sure that they have 2 buys. You know, their hands are tied behind their back in a way.
Why can't they have a bye at round 20?
Well, that's what we need to do, because I think the whole finals thing has almost become a little bit out of control.
They don't care about the 2-bye deal with the PA. They only had 1 bye until they suddenly decided to do a pre-finals bye, and the PA were furious because it only affects 8 clubs.
Right. But they need to have 2 buys, though, Caro, throughout the year. Well, that's the point.
Why?
Well, because that's the deal that they've signed. I hated it at the time. Now we all hate it even more. Just play the finals.
Sam, if they have the bye at round 20, some of the clubs that are out of contention, I'm sure that we won't be reading nothing will happen to any players getting in trouble.
No, that's true. Yeah. There won't be anyone.
Just for a bit of reality TV for everyone, you know.
No one will go out.
and let's remember, when Tasmania come in, as planned in 2028, every team, there will be a bye every week. So every club will have a bye. So then you only need to fixture.
Which people won't like.
Really?
It'll be awful, Caro.
19 teams, there'll be 9 games a week. So you're not losing a game, just every week.
We're talking about 2 years. If Tasmania's on track for time, I'm not talking about coming in, I'm talking about...
Yeah, so...
we'll know in December when it goes through Parliament.
So for those 2 years, November.
December, actually. November's the lower house, which doesn't matter because it'll go through. The upper house, first week of December is when they need to convince the independents.
Okay, And look, as you know, I'm incredibly confident that's going to happen, but I reckon the Commission are right behind it now. But most of them. Anyway, they'll get the upper house. Anyway, they will.
You're so confident.
I've got the Premier of Tasmania here.
No, I know. No, I am barracking for the story, but I also think it's going to happen. But I just reckon that what's it called? The wild card round. Although they're going to think of another name for it,
or the in-season comp potentially.
I'm not sure about. I mean, that will just mean if you finish, it's another reason to celebrate. 9th or 10th if you actually manage to win 2 games and get to the 3rd week of the finals. But, you know, it'll mean you really have to finish in the top 6 to have any hope at all.
What's wrong with the 8?
I agree.
A team that's 8th. This is actually working.
The final 8?
Yes, the 8 is great.
Totally with you.
I love the 8.
Yep.
I think now you've got a parity in the 8.
Yep.
You've got an 8th team that scared the bejesus out of the top few.
Yep. Agree.
So stick with it.
Yeah. Anyway, so Marby or Chol, 3 weeks. Tom Stewart's out, which is terribly sad because he's a champion and he should be playing. But, you know, that's what happens with finals. Is there any wild card type player apart from Stanley who Geelong could bring in, do you reckon?
Probably not. I mean, there's a few to talk about. Kolajazzi and Guthrie haven't played this year.
I'm not sure I'd be bringing Stanley in.
Well, but who's your other option? You bring in a Buse.
Yeah, someone to deal with smaller. Go smaller.
But
because just the logic of it, just to be very specific, they're going so well without Stanley in the centre. They got the centre clearances were 20-5 against Hawthorn, and Hawthorn had the stronger ruckman.
But Stanley coming in is not going to make that worse, and it gives you a little bit more flexibility with what you can do with blitz halves.
But maybe
that would be the only reason.
Yeah,
I think they would have seriously not thought about him that much had Tom Stewart not got injured.
Yeah.
Can I change the subject? Did the non-free kick to Jamie Elliott have an effect on the game, Jake?
Oh, look, you can unravel these things. It was a bad decision, but you know, I mean, Brisbane was so much better than Collingwood. And what does it prove? He kicks the goal. The way the pattern of the game was, I think Brisbane would have answered.
Yeah.
So eventually, I think Brisbane were better, and I just don't think. I think, to be honest, I'll give Craig McRae, who doesn't always get it right post game, handled it very well.
He did.
Just not allowing that to be, because of course, in commentary, there's been a change in media towards looking at umpiring moments is a huge trend in the way the game's broadcast and the way it's dissected by us. So we're now, because it's digital, it's instant reaction on social media, it's instant reaction in the game from the commentators, and it gets people like Brian Taylor, there's the uproar. And then you sort of look at it, and yeah, it was a incorrect decision in my view, but really, do
you know what was the bigger mistake? Happened 10 seconds earlier.
He kicked it to him.
The Membry decision not to go back and kick the goal.
And take the kick,
I couldn't agree more.
I mean, that was 10 times worse than the non-decision.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
So So I think, if you're
We're
McRae,
asking an umpire to make a very quick decision.
split second.
Split second.
In front of 100,000 people.
He's made a mistake. It looked bad because one of the reasons it looked bad compared to other mistakes by umpires is because it was a one-on-one contest.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
We don't
it was so isolated.
And so isolated. Whereas most contests, you get people in packs who are being grabbed and pushed back and stood in front of, and all these things go on. We can't really. You need the close-up camera. This is out in the open of a player who we can all see the ball's going to go over, and the player has to try and do a spoil. So of course, you almost have to infringe the way that rule works.
So,
but really, honestly, Brisbane was significantly better. I think if you're looking at a bad luck for Collingwood, it was Pendlebury. I don't think the Elliott decision was anywhere near as significant as Pendlebury. I don't know what you guys think.
A couple of quick ones on the losers before we get to a break. So the Pies down. Does Elliott stay?
Well, if it was me, I would put everything into keeping Elliott.
Right.
And conceivably let Myercheck go.
Which it sounds like he's considering doing anyway.
I agree with Jake. I mean, Jamie Elliott was brilliant the other night. And and how old is he? 33?
32, I think.
He'll be 33 next season. He's had a great season.
Yep.
60 goals.
And he's so important to their structure. But it's funny.
The other thing is too, just for if they go through a rebuild soon, and he's one of the last, some of these older guys, obviously Pendlebury side bottom, how you'd expect them to all finish next year. Jamie Elliott's someone that, a bit like, if you're a supporter, do you really... He's a player that gets people up out of their chairs. There's players that are great players, but then there's players that get people up out of their seats. And there's not many in the competition. He's one of them.
And the Hawks, do they get Zach Merritt?
Much more positive about Hawthorn than I am about Collingwood. I think both teams did brilliantly to make top four.
Yep.
Collingwood because they were getting old, and I don't think they've managed their list well. And I was glad to hear Craig McRae admit that it won't be so much players, not picks this year. It's what Justin Lepich does, and that relationship is a real watch for me, and the way they manage their off-season.
Yep.
Hawthorn did brilliantly to make the top four because they finished 8th. Yep. It was a very
compacted
compacted 8. But, last year they absolutely outperformed everyone's expectations. We thought they'd be rebuilding for 4 years before we saw them in a top 4 contention. They've won a final last year and sort of tried to manage expectations this year, and yet they've done one better with a list that, frankly, is not quite there yet. So I think what Sam Mitchell has done is brilliant, and they're going to be a year older next year. They're going to have, obviously, some pretty important players back, Day being the numero uno, hopefully.
Well, they're two.
Joined by Zach Merritt?
Well, or Christian Petrarca.
I don't think it'd be Petrarca.
Why not?
I think Hawthorn's interest in Petrarca has significantly cooled.
I think Petrarca's also clearly open to interstate teams, which is a game changer. Because, if he's willing to go to Adelaide or to Gold Coast.
Adelaide are interested
Sydney.
in both, obviously.
Adelaide,
too.
Gold Coast or Sydney. If he's willing to go to one of those clubs, then that's a much better chance, I think.
Yeah. So, look, Merritt, it worries me that, Hawthorn are always adamant they're not going to,
sell the farm.
And after having gone as far as they have, they really have to come to the party now, don't they?
He's the missing piece for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
He makes them almost premiership favourites next year.
But is he... Look, he's a very good player, but...
No, he's probably past that, isn't he? He's in the next percentile.
What do you mean by that?
Merit.
As in up?
I think so.
You think he's one of the top midfielders in the competition?
I think he's a superstar, yeah.
No, I think he's a...
And I think he'll get even better and a better team.
I fit him into a star, not a champion.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Star, not a champion.
6-time BNF winner.
Yeah. How many have won at Geelong? One?
Yeah, maybe.
Right? I mean, you've got to benchmark yourself against, like if you watch him play and you break down his game and you compare it to Bontempelli or Dacos, right?
Oh, they're very different players.
No, they're better.
Yeah, but Bontempelli, hang on. Bontempelli and Dacos may end up being two of the best players to have ever played, ever.
They're light years ahead of Zach Merritt.
But I think,
and always
Merritt,
Dangerfield.
I think Merritt is probably in that echelon between those guys and very good. I think he's...
But look at what, even at that age, look at what Patrick Dangerfield can do. His body can't do it every week, but look at what he can mark overhead in the forward line. He can go into a centre square, and the way, like a great player, a genuinely champion player, Dangerfield can, when he's straight lining the ball in a contest, it looks like no other player can get the ball.
Yeah.
It's like the good marking players like Wayne Carey. When they're going for the ball, it feels like no one else has any chance of getting the ball. Just them.
Merritt's death by 1,000 cuts, I think.
He's a very good player, but he's not.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got the dynamism of champions.
You just back Sam Mitchell to, as Chris Scott has done with Bailey Smith. I feel like the Bulldogs went one way, Chris Scott went the other way. I would prefer he was a bit more in the middle with his handling of Bailey Smith, but you can't deny it's worked brilliantly to date.
What, a more sort of tolerant view?
Oh, far more tolerant.
Permissive, perhaps?
Completely permissive. Too permissive.
I was understanding.
Completely too permissive. But, proof is in the pudding. They're playing in a grand final and he's a Brownlow favourite. So you'd have to say it's worked. As a person who, feels very strongly about the media and the way the media are treated and the way people handle themselves and people who make themselves role models, I think he can be hypocritical. But I can't deny that it's been a brilliant move by Geelong and he's been handled brilliantly. Whereas, and Merritt, Brad Scott just threw everything at Merritt and made him the leader and tried to build a team around him. It's failed. It's embarrassed Brad Scott. It's embarrassed the club. And can Sam
and
Mitchell,
it's embarrassed Zach, I think.
Yeah, hasn't come out of it
looking well.
But players respond. He could go and play under Sam Mitchell or Matthew Nicks and completely eclipse, and just become a great player. A very good player and part of a team. Whereas, I just think that Essendon have been left with the collateral damage.
We'll talk a little bit about Essendon and the board and potential upheaval in a second segment, which is after this.
We're online all the time. Just search Age Real Footy on Facebook or Twitter.
The middle to Lipinski through his hands.
Interference, Collingwood. Advantage.
Nick Dacos will be pretty keen to take the advantage. Kicks, long kicks, beautifully!
It's had a huge influence on their run, the Gold Coast Suns.
Brilliant clearance from Anderson again. He set up the last one. He'll get it back here. What a footballer! Noah Anderson.
And now, away we go. Marshall, Wanganeen, Miller! Oh!
Yes, the Brownlow Medal, of course, tonight. Will it be third time lucky for Nick Dacos, or is there another potential upset brewing, Caro and Jake?
Well, I hope not, Sam, because Nick Dacos has been, I reckon, the standout player of 2025. And
couldn't find himself onto the field of the All-Australian team.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was it. Well, look, he was in the team. That's the main thing. You saw him again on Saturday night, Jake. He's just a beautiful footballer. He's a worthy Brownlow medalist.
Yep.
I love what Noah Anderson's done. Bont could, surprise us all and get lots of votes. And obviously, Bailey Smith will get the umpire's eyes, even though I don't think he'll win Geelong's BNF.
My winner you haven't mentioned yet is Jordan Dawson. I think people have forgotten that the finals aren't part of the Brownlow.
Did he slow down a little bit in the second half of the year?
In the finals, he was sore.
Yeah, he was.
But I think
you reckon he's had a better year than Dacos?
No, I think he's going to get more votes than Dacos. I don't think he's had a better year.
So why will he beat Dacos then?
I think he stands further out. I watched so many every game.
Who'll take the votes from Dacos?
Well, I think Darcy Cameron will get a few. I think that Dacos will get twos in some of the games they lost. The Crows won 18 games. It's more, I think this is going to be close, but I think Dawson is going to get over 30 votes.
Yep.
I'm very confident of that.
It's hard to argue with.
I think he stood out so far, and Isaac Rankin didn't quite put together the season, even before the suspension, put together the season of standout games. I think there'll be, among the Collingwood players, Josh Dacos will get a few votes. There'll be a few. He'll still get over 30, but I think Dawson may have. They've won 18 games. I think he'll be best on the ground in half of them.
Yeah, Anderson for me, I think there's a risk that Rao will steal a lot of votes from him.
Yes.
However, Anderson I thought was invariably their best player when they were winning games.
Yep.
Often not just through high disposals, but also kicked goals and often kicked big goals in big moments, which umpires tend to go towards.
Aren't the umpires going to be drawn to Rao because of the red hair and the inside play? They like the inside players.
No, it's got a bit of red tinge.
Not like Matt.
Yeah, more of a blonde. Strawberry blonde, perhaps.
Well, anyway,
that's who I went for.
So
What do you think?
I'm Nick Dacos.
Yep.
I've tipped him, and I believe he will win.
Mm-hmm.
You believe Jordan Dawson will win, and you believe Noah Anderson will win. Well, all worthy winners, but Nick's the most worthy.
And the journalist in me is barracking for Bailey Smith doing it just for the interview afterwards.
I don't know if there'll be a journo in the room who'll be agreeing with you.
That would just be sensational. Anything could happen. Anything could be said.
Just give him a bit of space with the photography. Maybe that might be the.
Oh, please!
I don't think he's going to be getting any rub downs of the Brownlow, so I think we're okay. Hey, we talked a little bit about Essendon and Zach Merritt earlier. There is rumour and innuendo, Caro, of board unrest at the Bombers. You wrote about them in your column on Saturday. Is David Barham safe?
No, my view is that David Barham will probably step down at the next AGM, which is obviously coming up later this year.
Okay.
Which I'm sorry for because he's such a true footy person. He's a passionate Essendon person, and I love what he brings to the game, and I hope he's not lost to the game. Obviously, Andrew Welsh has been waiting in the wings and significantly met up with Merritt last week and heard some of the grievances, I guess. Hopefully he was given a bit of feedback back his way. But I've been convinced there's been board unrest all year. I did a story on Channel 7 about Paul Little. I got absolutely shouted down about it, but I rang Paul Little, and Paul Little told me on the record that he was still open to coming back onto the Essendon board. And I know he still believes James Hird can be coach. And James Hird has said he doesn't want to coach Essendon. He's declared
He said
it.
he's nothing to do with any. Tom Morris had reported last night that there could be an imminent challenge involving an ex-player, and Hird was put on the spot about. James was put on the spot about it, and he said, no, nothing to do with me. First I've heard of it, so to speak. I don't know that. I spoke to someone who'd been approached, an ex-board member, so there could be something, but it would have to involve a player of real stature, like, a champion of the club, if someone from the 80s and they're running up against Welsh and Dean Solomon, I think with given that, but David Barham always said he would hand over to someone,
Welsh.
And that was going to be Welsh.
So you take James Hird at his word.
Yeah, I think so.
But I take Paul Little at his word. And Paul Little said he was open to returning to the board. Now, I believe Paul Little still thinks he deserves another crack at running Essendon.
Isn't it more likely Paul Little would want someone else to do it, and he would be sort of an influence? Isn't that more likely? Because Paul Little also has got some. You always know where you stand with him. I mean, as you know, Caro, and I do, having spoken to him over the years. But he looks to me. I mean, for him to come back, it just brings back all that stuff.
Oh, I think it would be. I think it would be.
So I think even he would understand that. He might rather have someone he's aligned with.
It's why it's so amazing that move was sort of imminent as early as April this year. And don't worry, it was on. And whatever James Hird says, Paul Little is a great believer in James Hird. Now, James Hird surely would not coach Essendon again. But
who said he'd be coach?
Well, I think Paul Little still felt he had an opportunity. I mean, Kevin Sheedy thought he should have been there. But all of this is a disaster for Brad Scott.
If Essendon want to have a good future, they've got to stop looking back, as you've written about and I've written about, and look forward. I mean, you don't. And Tim Watson said that when the Hird question came up. Well, it was Job Watson, actually. It was one of the Watsons. I think it was Job. Said, you got to look forward. So I don't think that's a good idea. You got to look forward, not back. And I think that's been one of Essendon's problems. Until they have new heroes, the biggest thing that could happen to this club would be, the best thing that could happen, whoever the coach is, whoever the board is people like the person you just mentioned, Noah Anderson and Matthew Rowell. If two young players walked into that club to say, this is our club, I don't care about the ghosts of Windy Hill.
Well, they've made so many mistakes, haven't they? And you mentioned off air, they had such a great chance to get Dunkley. But they weren't, and we see how he's transformed. Well, Brisbane, are transformed by many men, but he's been one of them.
But Dunkley, the other thing about Dunkley is, talking to him in the rooms, and Dunkley's a selfless player. He's a two-way runner. He does things for teammates. This is what is wrong with these clubs that fail. It becomes all about me and not about we. Dunkley's a we player. That's what Essendon need. That's why Anderson would be great.
They had hoped that people like Sardis and Hobbs would be two of those young guys, so that, if a disaster happened and a Merritt wanted to leave.
But they're not good enough.
No, of course not. But I'm saying that, that this is one of their problems, one of their many. They keep missing when they have these opportunities of high draftees when other clubs are hitting. So I think that would be something that would be keeping Essendon supporters awake at night is that, okay, if we let Merritt go and we get 2 great draft picks for him, who's to say we won't stuff them both up? I think that's part of the internal fear.
I think they want a player.
Can I just rewind back onto Dunkley? So Dunkley wanted to play for Essendon.
Correct.
So what happened?
My recollection, and I will check on this again, is that Essendon was not willing to give up 2 first rounds, and the Bulldogs put a line in the sand, 2 first round picks. And guess what? 12 months later, what did Brisbane, even though they're higher up the ladder, what did they give up? Two first round picks.
2,
2, and this was brought up at the end of 2020, end of 2021, and Dunkley was traded to Brisbane at the end of 2022, and it was a very protracted negotiation to get Dunkley with the Bulldogs. There was a lot of heat in it, because the Bulldogs were and I think the Bulldogs, in hindsight, were right, because he wasn't simply a good player; he was a culturally important player. And I think that this is the piece that Essendon have been missing.
And he left the Bulldogs because he didn't believe in their culture, and he'd come to the end of the road there.
Yep.
I know he went and spoke with Port Adelaide, had a real good look at them.
Yep. But he's an underrated player, don't you?
Gee, that was the one that got away for Essendon, Sam.
Incredible player, and to Jake's point, not just on the field, but culturally as well. On trade, anyone else that you're both interested in looking at? As in, I'm keeping an eye on Charlie Curnow. That's probably the one that I find most
Petrarca
interesting.
we've mentioned. I think that's going to play out.
Yep.
And a little one, Jai Simpkin,
Yeah, you broke that last week.
Yeah, I think but I don't know where the buyers are, because he's not on the level of the players.
No, and I don't feel that North are all that desperate to keep him either.
Well, it seems like there's been a bit of a backlash against Jai, because he hasn't said wanting more midfield time is quite a different thing from wanting to play for a club that's winning.
Yep.
There's a trend now of, I don't want to play for this team. I don't see that we're going to win. Isn't that?
Yes, I think that's fair.
And Simpkin, I don't think that's the motive for him exploring it.
I'm obviously Charlie Curnow, who's really keen to get to Geelong, interests me. Where's Jordan Ridley going to end up? Because, again, Essendon is saying there's no way they'll trade him, but he wants to go. And
I think he'll get to Brisbane.
As well?
I think so.
As well as Draper?
I think so.
I think they'll hold him.
You think they'll hold him?
Yep.
Okay. I think they might as well just go nuclear and blow everything up. Well, no, seriously, that's what I would do if I was Essendon, but I'm not the one making the decisions.
It's a pity, isn't it? Because you felt like they'd made inroads, and then it all just fell apart with the. I mean, you've got to blame the high performance situation.
Yeah, that was a mess.
Whether it was a high performance team or poor management across the board that led to all those soft tissue injuries, among the other serious injuries, but. That's what's ultimately been the final fail.
Carlton compared to Essendon for once. Carlton looks like a sea of carp.
Yeah, and that's saying something.
And Melbourne, now they've got a new coach. Like, they don't look, although Stephen May, who do you think should go for Stephen May? He's on the market now. It's cultural as much as anything, and where they see themselves. I'm sure Stephen King has had a say in that.
I'd give him a deal if I was the Dogs. I think he could help them win a flag.
But they've rejected him.
No, I know, but that's...
Well, they're going for Cal Wilkie.
Yep.
I reckon St Kilda will keep Cal Wilkie. I think he'll stay.
Okay, we've run out of time. It's quick questions next.
Get access to every episode as it drops. Hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Now McCreary, flying shot. McCreary just across the face to the square. Oh, Jamie Elliott with one of the great final marks.
Thank you very much.
You wanted a magic man. There is no more magic than Jay Elliott. The number 5, loved by Collingwood fans, to break a streak of 4. Jamie, when the moment's required, the number 5 stands up.
Yes, what a mark it was. There are very few marks in footy, I think, when you're at the ground, Caro and Jake, that make you stand up in awe. That was me on the weekend. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that. And then the replay made it look even better. Was it the mark of the year?
It was, but I'm comfortable with the fact that 18 teams get an opportunity to win mark and goal of the year.
Sure.
I don't have a huge problem with the fact that, I mean, I'm sure Jamie Elliott's pretty happy with, maybe, what do you get, a car?
I think he'll get it on the contract wherever he goes or he stays. I think he'll get. I think Jamie will get a payoff from that final series. He kicked 8 goals in the finals. He kicked over 60. If he's been ripped off anywhere, it's not Mark of the Year. It's all Australian team. I mean,
I was surprised.
I mean, that's a poor decision. He's kicked 50 in the home and away, over 50, and he won.
Who got picked ahead of him in the end?
Well, Zach Bailey did.
Bailey and Pickett.
But I just think the impact that Jamie Elliott has on games to win games
I would have put him ahead
greater.
of Cozzy Pickett this year. Cozzy Pickett's a great player.
He had a better year than Pickett, but I guess slightly different positions.
Pickett played up the ground a bit more.
Yeah.
And Elliott played deeper. But I think the fact that Elliott actually is the money man, you can kind of count on him.
Yep.
And there's also a little bit of lifetime Oscar.
Yeah, the Denzel Washington. The lifetime achievement.
I was thinking of Henry Fonda.
The body of work. Can I just put in one more word for my great...
What did Denzel Washington get it for?
He won an Oscar for something, and it was clearly the body of work.
No, he won it for
Scorsese.
He won it for Training Day when he should have won it for The Hurricane. That's what happened.
Well, there was
a bit
also...
like Russell Crowe. He won it for Gladiator, and he should have... Or no.
He won it for Beautiful Mind, didn't he?
Beautiful Mind.
Yeah, he should have won it for Gladiator.
And he should have won it for The Insider. One of the best
Insider.
performances ever.
Amazing.
But can I get back to people who were robbed? Naziah Wanganeen-Malera.
Training Day was a good movie.
Naziah Wanganeen-Malera didn't even win, wasn't even a finalist for Mark of that round.
This is ridiculous.
Wasn't even in the best 3. Couldn't even get Mark of the round. Couldn't even get one of the top 3 marks of the round. So don't get me started on Jamie Elliott and whether he's been robbed.
Okay, so Lachie Neale, if he puts his hand up, you're both Chris Fagan. Are you picking him?
No.
Nope.
Wow. So I'd like to say on the record, I don't think they should pick him, but I think they will.
They shouldn't.
If he declares himself fit to play.
Very simple, very simple. Let's go over the history of these things. Look at the players who had things like Steve Johnson. Remember, he had that fitness test that people, I think the 7 cameras filmed it from above, and he played very well, kicked 3 goals against Collingwood in 2011.
Cyril
Rioli played okay.
Had a cameo, really.
Didn't really have to do it.
So
Phil
easy.
Davis had the fitness test, disaster. James Hird, going right back to 2001, had a groin injury. I remember talking to him about it, and he played on Brad Scott, incidentally. That didn't go well, and he was Essendon's best player. They
had another one that year that Essendon picked.
Mark McCurry.
Right.
So there's just so many. Peter Moore, if you can, showing my age here, in 1981, had a hamstring.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, well,
I
was young, but I was a child.
Think that
but still,
structurally, with Ashcroft having more inside mid-time, I just think it's worked better for them. And Lachie Neale at his best clearly would be brilliant, but he's not. And he hasn't played hardly any footy in the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
They also played, you're right, they played better. They've played better recently without him. They beat Fremantle. The most impressive Brisbane performance is Fremantle by 9 goals in Perth.
I think they beat Hawthorn at the G by 10 goals without him as well, didn't they?
Was he not playing in that game?
I'm pretty sure he wasn't. Actually, that
was during the year.
He might have actually played really well.
But they've got players like Cam Raynor you can throw in there. You see, you've got other things you can do. They've got
superstars.
They've got so much talent. I wouldn't play him because it's getting back to the original point. It's a soft tissue injury. The record of soft tissues. If you have a knee joint injury or an ankle injury, you can get Jack Henry's got an ankle. He's gonna be fine. You can jab up the ankle. You can jab up the knee. You can't get through a game if someone reoccurs. If there's a reoccurrence of a soft tissue injury, you're in all sorts of trouble.
Jake, I'm neither a medico nor a football coach nor a player, but to me, every respected medico has said it's far too risky.
Yep.
History shows it's far too risky with this sort of injury.
Yep.
When he did the injury, they declared him out for the year. There was no question. The only reason, I reckon, is that he's so driven. He's done all this stuff. He's so determined to play. Chris Fagan has this unshakable belief in his players and his champions, which, at times, pushes all of our patience as supporters, but he's triumphed. Most of the times he's had that unshakable belief, but I think this would be, on balance, too big a risk. Way too big a risk.
Norm Smith medal and first goal.
Oh.
I'm picking Bailey Smith to win the Norm Smith. Don't know about first goal yet.
Can I change it by when I have to put it in on Thursday? Because I haven't
No, you
given
cannot
this any
change.
thought.
No,
Yeah, you
you're
can.
tied in.
You can change your mind by Thursday. Okay. My Norm Smith medal is going to be Josh Dunkley.
Okay, it's good.
And
I like that.
my first goal is going to be Cam Rayner.
Good one.
I will say, because I'm pretty confident the Cats will win, I'm going to say Norm Smith will be Dangerfield to cap off a poetic finish.
I'm going to say first goal Dangerfield.
And I'm going to say first goal Stengel.
Whoa. Mixed bag there.
Nice way to finish.
What a week.
Have a great grand final week. Thanks for listening. As always, thank you to Channel 7 and Fox for the audio we used. If you'd like to get in touch, you can do so via email, realfootypod@theage.com.au. Don't forget, subscribe, rate and review wherever you get your pods. The Expert Tips podcast will return on Thursday. Pete Ryan and Andrew Wu to preview the grand final. You'll hear from us next Sunday when we review the big game.